Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome back. This is the final episode of the TT-02 White Special. Some of you will be glad to hear that. I thought I would just show a little bit of footage before getting into the whole final thoughts thing and the finished product, because somebody did ask to see a couple of stages of making the body shell. I didn't want to do the whole thing because I'm not a particularly great painter, so there's nothing really you can learn off of me that's particularly useful. But I was looking at the instructions here, and I've obviously washed the car, washed the body shell, and done the window masks. But I think my body shell is from either very old stock, or Tamiya have simply rested on their laurels, which, let's be honest, Tamiya are good at doing, and they're still using a very old mould for this Lancia Delta Integrale body shell. Because if you look here, I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. See the writing there? 1992 Tamiya, it says. 1992. So this mould is very old mould, and I thought it looked a bit dated when I first, unbagged it and took it all out of the packaging. Because see these window masks here, the three on the side, and obviously on the other side as well. That was all one piece. This was that was all one piece, and it wasn't even the correct measurement. So you knew that you could cut them here, here, and here, and they'd be the right size. And also there was no guides on them, so you had this big long piece. It was maybe from there to about there long, and a little bit deeper than this. And you had to just sort of line up and try and guesstimate it yourself. So that wasn't ideal. Yeah, so that was a bit crap. Another thing I didn't actually notice when I bought the shell. I just went, oh yes, Lancia Delta Integrale. It's got the grill with it. Perfect. There's the grill. Get the white paint, we're all good. But it insists, if you look at the instructions here, it does tell you to, use Tamiya X18 plastic paint to brush onto the grill behind the light buckets, which I haven't got. So, but luckily I do have some black, what do they call it? The Warhammer stuff, what do they call it? Gaming Workshop. I do some black paint, so I'll do that by hand as well. One thing I did notice about this, which was a bit rubbish actually, before I get cracking, is talking about cracking. In fact, the shell has cracked on all four wheel arches. So when I was washing it under the tap, you wash them under the warm tap, they've actually snapped. All four wheel arches along the arch line, they've cracked through. So you can see that there, cracked through all four of them. Now it's just, I don't know, it was the heat of the tap or whatever. It wasn't even on hot, it was just lukewarm, but it cracked them, all four of them. So I've never seen that before. It must be very thin Lexan, or very old brittle Lexan maybe. I'm not going to try and tape these up, because if I try and tape these up and then spray it, you're never going to get it 100% sealed. 100% sealed against the very fine paint. And if I have tape, it will just pull where the paint is, and hopefully, and then it'll probably run. So I don't want to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the first few coats to be super light, and I'm just going to hope that the outer protective film is so well sealed against the plastic that I'm not going to get any bleed underneath that film. But I will get bleed through here, obviously, because these cracks. That's a bit weird. Never seen that before. But anyway, that's that. Let's get cracking with this body shell, shall we? Okay, so the shell painting is done. It's just drying here. And I don't mind doing this at all, don't worry, I don't mind. I don't mind doing this stupid thing with the stupid paint. I don't mind. I don't mind. I honestly don't mind. It's complete, it's done, it's sorted, it's good. Yeah, it's the next day now, because that took me so long to do, several hours, and then it was dark by the time I finished, so I thought I'll do it tomorrow, which is today. This video was supposed to be done a little bit earlier than it has, but I've been a bit under the weather. I'm not very well. You can probably see that I don't look very well, but wanted to get this out anyway. Yeah, I'm happy with the job I've done on it. It's a little bit plain. I obviously went for a sort of clean look. I didn't want to give it all the rally decals and livery and everything. It's a little bit plain. It might grow on me, but there's a little bit lacking of you know, anything of substance going on. I think I did a reasonable job of hand painting the grille though. I'm quite pleased with that. It's alright. Yeah, I might get for example, an Integrale. I keep looking at the viewfinder. An Integrale rear number plate. But the side profile is a bit bland. But what I have ordered that hasn't arrived yet is a set of proper looking wheel hex brake discs. Because if you saw the build, these ones are awful. They're pure white and the rotors are the wrong way around on one half of the car. The ones I've ordered have sort of silver and metal steel coloured discs with the rotors correct. So, you know, regardless, there's two for this side of the car, two for this side of the car, so they're all rolling in the same direction. They've also got bright red brake calipers, so that will sort of split up this bare white block of colour here, so that'll probably help. I could put, for example, the black window outlines on it, because there's decals for that, but they're horrible. They're just thick, black, undetailed, unbroken lines. Really, just, they don't look realistic at all. I think I'm better off just leaving the door pillars and things body coloured, so that's what I'm going to do. What I have done to the chassis since it was built is I've decided to put in things like the receiver box and the motor mount and everything, because it just looks a bit more complete, looks a bit better with all the bits in it. And obviously the battery bar was in it prior. One thing I need to do, and I was in two minds about this, is, you see, here's the thing, you can't buy these body posts. You can't buy them. They're not sold separately. But you also can't have them on display sticking out like a pylon. So, purists, you may want to look away, because once I've done this, there's no going back. There is no going back, unless you want to put the normal black ones on it, which kind of defeats the purpose. And this will drastically reduce the value of this white special in years to come, because it won't be completely original or unbroken or complete. But I don't care. I've got a job. That's what that's for, you know. So I'm going to leave a little gap, because I might use this indoor at some point just for a muck around. So I'll leave a little gap so I can put body pin above it, and boom. Same with this one. It's fine. You'll notice I didn't use the spoiler. There's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a minute, because I can't multitask. Up a bit, there we go. Ooh. And that one there. There we are. Well, that's commitment right there. These are now. Right, that's it. So, yes, the spoiler. Spoiler on the real car is mounted basically where these posts are coming through the back windscreen. See, they're right at the top of the back window, and it comes up like that. Now, obviously, these posts are in the way. This is where Tamiya cars have their posts. So what they've done with this is they've lowered it a little bit, and it sort of mounts in the not halfway down, but maybe just over a third of the way down the windscreen. And then the mounts come up, and then the spoiler sort of does that. But it still has to sit below the posts, so there's a bit of window above the spoiler, if that makes sense. So the spoiler is sort of along there, not quite to the top, so there's a bit of glass above it, which isn't realistic, and it would bother me looking at it and thinking, oh, that's not where that spoiler is in real life. So if I leave the spoiler off, there's no problem. So there's that. Now, what else was there to talk about, really? There's nothing really again about the paint job. I might add extra stickers once the brake calipers and discs are on, if I still think it needs a little broken up, like the colour needs broken up. But overall, I think the effect is quite good. Yeah, again, it's not a perfect paint job because I did it, but it's, you know, I'm quite pleased with it. But anyway, the point of this video today wasn't to talk about the bottle. You can look at that. That's its best angle, so I'll leave it like that. Look, there you go. There you go. The point of the video today was to talk about the TT-02 in general and if I would recommend it. So let's talk about that. What I'm going to talk about is the white special as well as standard TT-02s, because they're almost identical. The differences between the white special and the standard TT-02 Obviously, the standard one is black, all black plastics, and the white special is obviously all white. But apart from that, the white special seems like better value on paper because it's the same sort of price. There's not much in it. There's maybe £10 or £20 in it. I think even the white special might be slightly cheaper. But the white special has a bearing kit, whereas the standard one doesn't. It's got plastic bushings. The white special has oil-filled shocks. The standard one doesn't. It's got friction shocks. The white special has a torque-tuned motor. The standard one doesn't. It's got a standard silver can motor. So the white special seems better across the board. However, the standard one does come with a speed controller. This doesn't. So you will need to buy a speed controller for one of these. And all the standard TT-02s, all the sort of bottom range ones, come with a body shell. And usually quite a good body shell. This doesn't come with a body shell. I had to buy this Lancia separately. So they do sort of... There's pros and cons to both of them. But one thing I will say of note is you will need to buy oil-filled shocks for the standard one because it has friction shocks, obviously. But as far as I'm concerned, you will also need to buy oil-filled shocks for this because these included oil-filled shocks look good, but they are absolutely dreadful. They are terrible. Possibly the worst oil-filled shocks I've ever come across. They are awful, and I'll explain why. First of all, you've got the piston at the top of the shock shaft, which seals against the inside of the shock body. That is to be snapped on this car. It's snapped off of a parts tree, which leaves a burr which you need to cut off. Therefore, you cannot get the piston completely circular perfectly because you're never going to chop off a burr with some snips and still maintain perfect circularity. It's not going to happen. You can get it as close as possible, but it's not going to happen. So that will allow oil to leak past it. But it doesn't even matter in the long run because even without this burr, the actual piston, it doesn't seal against the inside of the shock body anyway. It doesn't seal because it's not quite big enough. It isn't that accurately made, or that the tolerances aren't that fine at all. So the oil's going to get around the outside of all of it anyway, even where the burr isn't, if that makes sense. So that's a bit rubbish. It doesn't seal right. But worse than that is at the bottom of the shock body where the shock shaft goes in and out and where it's supposed to seal it from the outside elements. Most shocks come with a sort of silicone based O-ring. These come with, what you do is you sandwich two rubber O-rings, and the friction is enormous. The friction's horrendous. These aren't working right at all. I could, for example, these springs are sitting at full height. I could take these springs off, and then extend the shocks again, put the car down, and they wouldn't even compress. There's that much friction in it. Now, obviously, what you can do is you can replace the rubber O-rings with, maybe you can get yourself a set. The rubber O-rings are a little bit too big anyway, and there's two of them. But you could maybe get yourself a couple of silicone-based ones which are the perfect size, and maybe seal it off with a little bit of team-associated green slime or whatever, and then you could get these working correct. However, first of all, I don't think that should be necessary in a car. If it comes with oil-filled shocks, they should work properly as they're built. Number two, what was my second point? This is supposed to be a beginner type chassis. Most people who buy a TT-02 are buying it because they're sort of entry level to this hobby. They maybe don't have green slime or even heard of it. They certainly don't have silicone based O-rings lying around, and they might not know the reason behind the extra friction and all the rest of it. The third reason is, even if you fix that, you still got the problem with the shock piston. And the fourth reason is, once you buy associated green slime and you buy yourself some silicone O-rings, third party, if you like, is that the right word? Third party, I don't know, but aftermarket oil-filled shocks are so cheap now that probably cost you no more than just buying the slime and the O-rings. If you buy a set of, say, I know that they went out of business years ago, but there's still parts available. Is like, for example, Ansman shocks. You won't pay very much for them. They'll have proper alloy shock caps as opposed to the plastic ones in this, and they might even be threaded shock bodies, so you can adjust the height. So they'll be superior, and they're very cheap. So what's the point in trying to fix these ones? That's my thoughts on that. So you do need to buy oil-filled shocks for the standard one, but I believe you also need to buy oil-filled shocks for this one. So, which one? Let's talk about the TT-02 in general. really, if you're going to buy one of these, you're either going to run it outside, or you're going to sort of race it inside, or you're going to have it on display, or maybe a combination of those three. So what we're going to talk about is the TT-02 in general, and the standard one, and then the white one to see, you know, if I would recommend each one in each category. So we'll start with, if that makes sense, it'll make sense when I start explaining. So start about offshore, no, that's where I work, off-road. Start about off-road, not off-road, outside. See, I'm not well, my brain's not working. Outside. Talk about running it on-road, outside. Do I recommend a Tamiya TT-02 on-road, outside? Absolutely. Absolutely. The TT-02 is perfectly suited for that. Oh, someone outside. I wonder if I'm going to get a delivery. No. The TT-02 is perfect for that. It's got a really robust, simple, reliable drivetrain. You can fix it easy, but you know, it takes a fair amount of abuse. It's quite well sealed. You're not going to get much crap in it. It's not belt drive. Belts get chewed up a lot outside with stones and gravel and such. It's easy to build. When you build it, you'll learn about how it works because you built it. You know, it's got non-adjustable links that are really thick and solid and everything. The arms are solid, the bumper's solid. It's perfectly suited for tearing around outside. Absolutely perfectly suited for it. So yes, I would definitely recommend a TT-02 outside. On top of that, a TT-02 can be customized beyond, you know, Tamiya in general have got more parts available for them, aftermarket, you know, hop-up parts, than any other brand. You can make your TT, even if you've got a standard black TT-02, you can make it look as unique as you want. So yeah, just go nuts. The TT-02s and TT-01 and all sorts of Tamiyas are perfectly situated for just going nuts and making your Tamiya like no one else's. And that's what's good about them. So yeah, outside I would absolutely recommend a TT-02. However, when it comes to outside, I think you're way better off getting the standard black one over the white special. Because a standard black Tamiya, say you built a brand new, and it looks like this, but it's obviously a black one, and it's unused, it's untouched, and it looks great. You can have it on display, it looks fantastic. You go outside, you run it out on the street, obviously underneath it gets a bit scarted and a bit, you know, scratched with the stones and stuff, and then you wash it off, and it still looks great. Because although the scratches underneath the plastic chassis, as long as they're clean and you clean it again, doesn't really detract anything from it. It's not like, for example, a carbon fibre car or a graphite car. You look at the scratches, you go, oh, no, it's ruined. Oh my goodness. It's not like that with a plastic one. Plastic one, you just go, who cares? It looks just as good. This one, not so much. Once this white starts getting scratched and beaten up, that's going to look nasty. Nasty. If you're going to use it outside, don't even bother with a white special. Honestly, I would just say use the black one. Get the black one. It's a much better bet. Alright. Indoor racing. If you are at a sort of club and it's all about sort of low budget and having a laugh and not being taken too seriously, and people get all sorts of cars and everything, TT-02, ideal. Absolutely. Go nuts with it. You can, like I say, you can modify it like crazy. You can give it adjustable links and everything if you want, adjustable camber, adjustable towing. That's not a problem. It's never going to be what it claims on the box. On the box it says high performance racing car. No, the TT-02 is not a high performance racing car. It's just a good, solid on-road chassis. But if in that environment, that's the sort of environment I ran my TT-01 Type E for a while, and it was fine. It was great fun, and part of the enjoyment of it was hopping it up and making it better. Because if you've bought a thoroughbred race car from the start, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be complicated, and it's going to have a potential that you can't really then improve upon because it's already got everything pretty much that you need. This is different. If you feel it's lagging behind in a certain area, you can modify it and you can go crazy with it. And that's really enjoyable. That's a really good part of the hobby, is making something better than it is. So yeah, TT-02. In that environment, absolutely, yeah, I would recommend it for that as well. However, a word of caution with that. And I'll get to that later. If you're going to run a TT-02 indoor at some sort of club, you might as well get the white one. Because let's say everybody's running around in these sort of budget chassis and they're all just having a laugh and stuff, you might as well get the one that looks a bit more special. You're going to have to buy shocks anyway for either of them as far as I'm concerned. You're going to have to get a bearing kit for the black one. This one's got it. But that's not the point. The point is, one of them looks slightly more special and it is slightly rarer and will turn more heads than the other. Might as well go for it. Go for this one. And if you're that bad at driving and you break parts, eventually it's going to be all black anyway because you've replaced them with all standard parts. But yeah, I would say indoor, in racing, there's nothing that this doesn't offer that the standard one does. So either one, whichever one you like the look of, basically. I would go for the white one because it looks just a little bit more special. So yeah, there's that. However, the word of caution, if your club is a sort of low budget club, and everybody's running around in relatively low budget cars, but it's competitive and quite fiercely contested, you don't want a TT-02 at all. Because for the same price as a TT-02, you can get a Schumacher MI1 version 2. Or for considerably less, you can get, and it's a bit of a mouthful, a 3Racing Sakura Sport XI version new, which is considerably cheaper than one of these things, than either of the versions of the TT-02. And those cars are proper race cars. And a well set up one of those, running around a track, this won't get anywhere near it. It'll be lapped several times. That's a proper race car. And with the Schumacher especially, you get really high quality machining, high quality materials and everything. If people are getting serious, even if it's a low budget club, if people are getting serious about their racing, you don't want a TT-02 because you won't be competitive. This is only good if your club is just a bit of fun and nobody takes it too seriously and it's about enjoyment and having a laugh. And this is in its own. It's absolutely in its element and you'll love it. Otherwise, no, not a TT-02. And then finally, you've got a shelf. Absolutely. This is what I'm doing with it, obviously. I might run it indoors occasionally, but right now it's a display piece and it looks really nice. It looks really nice. A standard TT-02 looks really nice as well, because the thing about Tamiya is they come out with some really well detailed shells. Tamiya shells are wonderful, really nice. And Tamiya paint, although you don't get much of it, I ran out of paint really quick with this, quicker than I kind of hoped, but they can get things looking good. So, you know, this sitting on the shelf with or without a body shell on it, fine, people will look at it. It looks nice. Any chassis could look nice sitting on a shelf though. But with the Tamiya, it's just nice to keep it all in-house with a nice Tamiya shell, using Tamiya paint. You've got Tamiya body shell. Yeah, absolutely, I recommend the TT-02 in that regard. So there you are. I would say standard one, on road, outside. Either one, but probably the white one indoors, and probably the white one on display as well. Would I recommend you buy this though? Ooh, that's tough. Because it's a lot of money. It's about £100 plus the shell. I mean, I got it cheaper than that, but it will cost you around about £100 all in to sit on a shelf. That's a lot of money. And you might be tempted to take outside, and if you do, you ruin it. So, if you are very interested in having a display piece, yes, absolutely, go for your Tamiya TT-02 White Special. You'll love it, and if your friends are into it as well, they'll into the RC hobby. They'll come to your house and they'll look at it and they'll appreciate it and stuff. Perfect. But just be aware, it's not the only chassis in the world that can look nice sitting on the shelf, and it is quite a lot of money. And if you do decide to take it out, you've ruined it. Whereas on any other chassis, pretty much, not obviously, like I say, not carbon ones, oh geez, you wouldn't want to do that. But any other chassis, a TT-02 or TT-01 Type E or a Kyosho or a Yokomo or anything, sits there, looks good on the shelf, take it out, good on the road, put it back on the shelf again, still looks good. Not with this. Yeah, so just bear that in mind. But overall, I have enjoyed this project. I have enjoyed building this car. There has been some frustrating moments, like with the shocks. But yeah, not a bad piece of kit. Not a bad piece of kit at all. I know some of you have enjoyed. A lot of people have just full on ignored it, because I think I've got something like 1,400 subscribers, and on average these videos garner about 80 views. So not very many people care. But for the people who do enjoy the build videos, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has inspired you. I hope you've learned something from it. I've certainly learned from doing it. If you like it, go out and grab it. There's not that many left. There's definitely a limited run, so now's the time. But that's all I've got to say, really. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you again soon. Take care of yourselves. Cheers.